England goes down. And this is some very, very interesting news that, and I don't want to be over dramatic, but it's kind of spooky. It's kind of a little, case of deja vu. Makes me think back to 2008 when that whole financial meltdown started. But the Bank of England has waved the white flag before essentially it could even get started fighting inflation. And the big question on my mind, and it should be on your mind, are we next? Is the USA next? Maybe are other countries next? But what happened here? Let's keep our eyes to the news and see if this same pattern begins to unfold. And to add a little context here, if you want really the biggest kind of with this video, I'd say and go watch this video first. That was a video I did, and I'll put a link down below, where I talked about essentially what just happened with the Bank of England and how things have played out. So what did the Bank of England do? Why do I say they just went down? Well, like all countries are trying to fight inflation. They're trying to do things that are saying inflation's out of control. So yeah, we're going to fix inflation. But the Bank of England just had a historic sell-off in the bond market. Now, what does that actually mean? I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Again, if you go and watch that other video, that's where you're going to get those details. So I will assume that you've watched that video, or maybe you already know how the bond market works and why it's important. But basically, bonds are associated with cost of debt, right? Mortgage payments, car payments, credit card payments, any sort of debt is going to be associated with what those bonds actually are. And as that headline said, there is a historic sell-off in the market. Now, what was going on was the Bank of England will suspend the planned start of its gilt selling next week. Now, gilts are just bonds. So when you see that, just know that bonds. But now think about this. Starting, planned. So in other words, before they could even start their planned bond selling, which is a way to fight inflation. So that is an inflation way to fight. You can sell those bonds. But before they could even start that plan, what happened? That historic sell-off happened. And what did they actually do? Well, they're going to begin temporarily buying long-dated bonds. So let me translate that for you. That means they are printing money. Does that sound familiar? Printing money. If my memory serves me right, that seems to be sort of a big reason. Maybe not necessarily the only reason, but it's certainly a big reason why all this inflation is occurring, because governments just started printing money hand over fist. And yet that's what the Bank of England just admitted they're going to start doing again, which is bonkers. Completely opposite of what you should be doing if you want to fight inflation. If you want to fight inflation, you don't print more money, but that's what the Bank of England just said they're going to start to do. So things must be pretty drastic to take such measures. And yeah, they're apparently getting pretty drastic. And in a statement Wednesday, the central bank said it was monitoring the significant repricing. No, I absolutely love significant repricing. Isn't that a great word? Significant repricing. Whoever writes these, official statements for governments, I applaud you. Your way of wording is so great. But let me just translate that. Something got too expensive. The significant repricing, something got just too expensive or is nearing getting too expensive. In this situation, what's getting too expensive? Government debt. Now, this is important because USA, do we have government debt? Yeah, we have quite a bit. And once again, if you go back and watch that video, then you're going to realize, because I saw all sorts of, that's not an opinion one. That's based up with facts. And I'm supposed to pat myself on the back a little bit. So far, I've been nailing it because England was the first to fall, and we'll see if that applies here to USA. But yeah, what was the problem? The debt was the problem. In what way? Well, it became, there was a significant repricing. Debt was getting too expensive. Debt was at risk of getting too expensive to pay off. That's what they're actually saying. And what's the problem with that? Well, as they say, were dysfunction in this market to continue or worsen, there would be a material risk to the United Kingdom financial stability. And that is crazy. When you start to hear financial stability of a country being at risk, that's a problem. That is a very scary problem in all actuality. And let me circle back, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but to drive it home. This was before even the planned start of the bond selling began. And once more, bond selling, that is how you fight inflation. Bond buying, that is, in other words, that is money printing. So before they could even start that aspect of fighting inflation, boom, things were getting to the point where potentially financial instability was a risk. And that is absolutely crazy. And when you stop and think, wow, USA, we have a whole lot of debt. Now, to be fair to us, we actually have already begun our bond selling. It's going very, very slowly, but it has begun. So that's encouraging. We have raised interest rates. That's encouraging. The US dollar is strong. That is encouraging. So there are some encouraging things out there, and I don't want to be totally doom and gloom. I want to be as objective as possible. So yes, this Bank of England thing is pretty scary, and it's not apples and oranges. Well, I suppose it is a little bit, but it's not in the sense of the debt was a problem for the Bank of England. We as a country have a lot of debt. Last I heard, what is it, like $30 trillion now? So that's why we got to be very, very careful. And we'll see what happens. But Bank of England has gone down. They are waving the white flag. What does this all mean? Well, if you think their inflation is bad now, it's not going to drop. It's definitely not going to drop now. They just admitted that they will now be printing more money. And if that hits us, and the Federal Reserve all of a sudden has a change of heart and starts to give these same sort of press releases, who knows, maybe they'll hire the same person, and you start to see, whoa, there is significant repricing in the bond market. So yeah, we're going to have to start to buy bonds again, aka print money. Hey, you ain't seen nothing yet in terms of inflation. So we'll have to see what happens with it. But this was, again, I don't want to be over dramatic, but pretty historic news, I think, because what was in the history books, is this going to be a sentence where it says the Bank of England was the first bank to wave the white flag, to give up in its inflation fight, and then just destroy their currency? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But as of now, some very interesting stuff going on. And once more, I would say let's keep our eyes on the market, keep our eyes on the news. And if you see other countries starting to follow this pattern, better be ready for it. And I'll just say that. But yeah, pretty crazy news. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, leave a comment, and check out the channel as a whole. And if you like what you see, I would love to have you as a subscriber. So hit that subscribe button. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.